Hey guys. So, uh, I did something a little bit crazy, maybe, possibly. Um, little bit scared, a little bit freaked out. I have managed to put myself into a position where I have a very short amount of time to raise what to me is a fair amount of money. Um, so, let's back up a little bit. A couple days ago, I had lunch with a friend of mine, and she talked about the Landmark Forum, which is, well, okay. I can't actually say everything it is. Apparently, they have a lot more courses than just the one that I was introduced to last night. Um, but I was introduced to, I guess this is their beginner's course. I don't know. Um, she invited me to this introduction, and for some reason, there was just this really strong pull, like this intuitive pull to go. And of course, this is one of those things where like they try to get you to interact as much as possible. And at one point, the presenter asked me, so what are you here for? And my real answer was the only thing that brought me here was this intuitive yes. Like there was nothing else beyond that. Um, and then we started playing with what the forum, what this, it's like a 4 or 5 day workshop basically is all about. And as we're going through the 5 basic questions they ask in this, which are first, identify something in your life or things in your life that are working, and then like go through and identify things in your life that may not be working or that could use some improvement or that you're not feeling quite that great about. And then out of those things that you identify that aren't really working, um, pick one that you want to focus on tonight. And then from there, no, I may actually have to go get the brochure out of my backpack. Um, yeah, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm just going to go do the thing. Okay. So this thing, um, yeah, of course it's backwards in the video, but whatever. So I'm just going to actually read through this and just share with you kind of what the journey was that I went on last night and where I was emotionally and mentally when I made this decision. So what's working? Travel magic, finding family, manifesting basic needs, self exploration. Um, these are all things that just flow very easily in my life. Travel magic, basically, when I'm traveling, like magic happens. That's the only way I can describe it. Um, Everything I need is provided in a way that defies explanation most of the time. And often I find myself in the most amazing situations doing the most phenomenal things, meeting people who challenge me and provoke me and help me explore. And, you know, I, like it's magic. It is. It's just magic. And um, it's how I know life can be for me and possibly for everyone else too. Um, but it's not always like that. So I'll get into more about that later. Finding family. I don't really have that close a relationship with most of my blood family. Um, we have very different lives, and that doesn't like I don't feel like that's a bad thing or an unhealthy thing for me personally. I love my parents. I love my brother, but I don't feel the need to spend a lot of time with him right now, and that may change, and I'm open to that. But for me, what I'm looking for is a deeper family connection, like more of a soul family or a tribe or a group of people that just we share the same passions and the same intentions in this life, and we want to grow together and work on ourselves together. And I have been extremely successful in finding those people in my life, and I'm very, very grateful for them. You know who you are. Manifesting basic needs. This kind of goes along with the travel magic. Like, I have never had a problem where I couldn't get food, I could not find shelter, I did not have clothes to wear, I did not have water to drink. In all my travels, in all my crazy experiences, I have always had the basics covered every single time, even if they only show up at the last second. Like, there have been plenty of situations where I literally did not know what I was going to eat that day until it showed up. But it always showed up every single time. And then self exploration. So, most of my life after moving to Hawaii was much more internally focused than externally focused. Um, it was exploring the inner self, and it still is exploring the inner self and letting go of all the fears and beliefs and desires and traumas that aren't me, that aren't real, that, all the things that I kind of just, they've become a safety net or role that I can play in certain situations because I know that people in general will like that. Um, but it's not always the real me. And that's what I'm looking for in this life, really deep down, is like to be authentically me all the time in every situation. And let go of wanting people to like me or be whatever around me, comfortable or need me or find me helpful or anything else. Just, those things may happen and that's great, but like, I don't want to be fake to make them happen. Um, so that's what I wrote down for what's working, and we only had like a couple of minutes for each one of these to go through and kind of write things down. So there's not really much for each of them. And then what's not working, grounding, which for me is kind of like, I look at that as like having a physical place in this world beyond my body. Yes, I'm very grounded in this body most of the time. Now that's a big shift from where I was a few years ago. Um, but I'm still very much a nomad. I bounce around a lot, and I enjoy it. But sometimes, like, I really like a place where I could actually just stay for more than 6 months at a time, legally, maybe, possibly. Um, Money magic. This is what I'm looking for. So, travel magic happens. Money magic, I'm still blocking that in my life for some reason. And that's a big part of what all these videos are about is, finding that financial independence, finding that freedom within a structure of this society, um, that includes money and includes living with authority and all this other fun stuff. Um, Blood family, like I said, I don't have the closest relationship with my mom, my dad, my brother, and it would be nice at some point to grow that. And then soul purpose was the last thing I wrote, and soul purpose. I don't know if this is true or not, and I don't really feel like it matters, but there is this feeling deep down that I came here for something, to do something, to be something, whatever. And I have a pretty good idea of what that is, but like how that's actually going to play out, I still have no earthly idea. And like that is actually, that seems to be kind of the point. Like that's how it seems to work. If I actually, like, it really seems like if I actually knew what my soul purpose was, where I'm at right now, like my own head and my own planning and my own fears and my own desires and beliefs would just totally get in the way and ruin that. Um, right now, it just feels like for me, it just is this totally intuitive place where, like going to this seminar last night, it was just I didn't really have a reason other than intuitively there was this pull to go. Um, and I know that can be kind of hard to comprehend. Like, I don't really fully comprehend it. Um, it's just this gut feeling. Like, my heart just goes, yes, that. Let's do that. Then the next thing they ask is, what area do you want to work on tonight? And the one that felt most appropriate was money magic, because that's what kind of being in Nashville is about in a lot of ways, is playing in that role, playing in that world, the world of finance and money and business, um, and learning to be authentic, learning to be me in that role, and to allow myself to be seen completely with all my flaws in that world. Um, and then they go on to, so envision your most probable certain future if you continue being the way you have been in the past. Um, and that was broken down into three sections. So, what would you be doing? Um, what do you have that maybe you're not utilizing fully? And then, how have you been being in that role or in that position or in that job or whatever it is? Um, so, my most probable certain future was going back to a job, which I always do in Nashville, because I don't see any other way to make reliable money and actually pay for the commitments that are required to stay here: rent, bills, food, so on and so forth. I don't need to worry about that in my travels most of the time. Most of that is like I'm doing work trade or bartering or whatever. Like, I don't need money. And I'm not really comfortable committing to things that require money because I don't trust that that will come into my life, or the opportunities to make the money, to earn the money, will come into my life. So when I get back to Nashville, I almost always get a job. And then I end up working for someone else and getting super stressed out or depressed because I'm not doing something that my heart really enjoys. I'm not doing something that I'm really passionate about, that I enjoy. I'm working just to make money. I'm working just to pay for bills that, like, I don't want my life to be like that. That's, again, what this whole video channel is about in a lot of ways. And then just watching Netflix and YouTube and anything else, like, just to decompress and cope with the frustration and stress of being constantly depressed because, again, I'm not following my heart. And what do I have? I have a lot of practice listening, and really listening and giving space to other people to speak and to be heard and to be understood. Um, Guiding, shepherding, those two kind of go hand in hand. Again, I have a lot of experience and practice being present with other people and seeing where they're at and how they're feeling, and then intuitively offering feedback that can open up new possibilities for them and maybe allow them to see themselves in a different light, or shift their point of view to a slightly more helpful perspective. And I'll talk more about that type of thing later on, because that's exactly what happened to me last night. That subtle shift in point of view. Trust in love and life. And this kind of goes back to the travel magic. I fully trust that I will always be taken care of. And that's never let me down. Again, like I said, I always have the basics, no matter what. No matter how crazy it gets, I've always had the basics. And to me, in a lot of ways, that is abundance. Like, always having exactly what I need when I need it, that's an abundant life. I have been able to do so much and go to so many places and meet so many amazing people and see so many amazing things mostly unrestricted. Like, there have been times in my life where I've felt trapped, but ultimately I've been trapped by my own beliefs and my own fears, not by anything else. And the more I trust that I will be taken care of, the more possibilities in my life open up, and the more fun I have, and the more joy is there. And then flow. And again, this kind of goes back to the travel magic and that same thing, just how things just magically line up. And it feels not so much like I'm doing anything, so much as like surfing this wave of life. And like everything I need just comes to me. And then the last part, how have you been being, or how have I been being in that past that will be the most probable future if I continue? I hope you get what I'm going, or what they're pointing out, what I'm pointing out here. Um, I've been scared. Like, I have been trapped by the fear of authority, of not having a place to live, and the poverty mindset, um, which, you know, I'll probably do another video about this at some point in the very near future, but there's been a lot I've been watching and reevaluating in my own life around when I say things like, I can't afford that. There's no such thing as that. And like, I've demonstrated that to myself over and over and over again while traveling. But whenever I come back here and I give in to my fears and I start behaving in a way that, you know, I'm not going to have enough, I don't have enough. And it's like, and I've watched, and it's, you know, almost constantly there's this, I don't do something because I can't afford it. A really good example was last year, or was it last year? I know, whatever. Like, I think it was late last year, where I got this really strong intuitive sense to buy a laptop, to actually spend a fair amount of money, you know, $600 to $700 to $800 on a good laptop that will serve me for several years to come. And I had the money at the time, but I convinced myself that if I spent that money, it being the only money I actually had, I wouldn't be able to afford the trip that was being offered to Egypt. And so I didn't buy the laptop. And the trip to Egypt fell through. And I still got guidance to buy a laptop. And another opportunity came up, this time to go to Hawaii. And I, again, didn't spend the money because I couldn't afford the laptop because I needed to pay for the plane tickets to Hawaii. Trip to Hawaii fell through. That never worked out. Finally, after that, okay, all right, I'll buy the laptop. I bought the laptop. Literally 2 days later, the opportunity to go back to Canada came up, and to live on the farm for the winter, and to be caretakers, and you know, just grow up there as I so love to do. And even though I'd already spent the money that I would have used to buy the plane tickets on the laptop, more than enough money came in for me to get to the farm in Canada, the homestead, whatever. It's not really a farm. We just call it that. And for the first time, I actually got to a destination with extra money in my pocket. That had never happened before. Like, I would get to a destination and have just enough to survive for maybe 2 or 3 days. Just enough for me to like start finding whatever I needed there. But like, I wouldn't have money the entire time I was there most of the time. I would be broke and like living off the land or bartering or work trading or whatever. But for the first time, I got to Canada and I had extra money. And then when I got there, more money came through. It was a pretty eye-opening experience. So that was my almost probable certain future, broken down into, you know, what have I been doing? How will that look if that continues? What do I have? And then how have I been in that scenario? And then uh, the next thing they go into is what's missing, the presence of which would make a difference. And the first two that came, bravery and commitment. Um, you know, this goes back to the fear, and the fear that I'm feeling right now, which is like I only have a very little amount of money right now, and I keep getting guidance not to get a job, to not go out and earn money in that traditional way, but to trust that opportunities will come up to earn money in a different way. And I have just committed pretty much all of what little money I have to this course that's due. Like, I have to pay the deposit Friday, and then like basically 2 days from when I'm recording this video, and then the rest of it is due in like another week and a half. And that's going to be all the money I have. And spending that, I'm not going to have money for rent. I'm not going to have money for food. I'm not going to have money for anything unless an opportunity comes up to earn it. And so I've put myself in this position where I have no choice but to make or break, sink or swim. And that required a little bit of bravery and commitment and trust in that intuitive guide, in that higher pull, whatever you want to call it. And then what also would make a difference is authenticity and creativity. Again, going back to that whole theme of just being me in every situation with every person, regardless of how they see me or how they want me to be or how I want them to see me. That's the bigger one. Foresight, which that actually kind of turned out to be like a not so big a thing. And then the one I really have resisted for a long time, and that is acceptance of the power and potential of structure. For a long time, I have automatically rejected anything with structure, whether that be religion or a course or a things like the Enneagram or this workshop is a great example. Anything that is or seems to me to be created by and for the mind, for just purely mental satisfaction, basically. Or it seems to be designed to control people or enslave people or manipulate people, manipulate me. And that goes all the way up to governments and this frustration that just because I was born here in the United States, I can't legally live in a lot of other places for more than a very limited amount of time, for no other reason than I was born here. Like, it's infuriating to me, and I hate it. So like, there's this really deep rejection of structure and authority in me, and that has kept me on the fringes for a long time. And what I'm starting to see in this is that there can be freedom within structure, that sometimes the structure can actually lead to greater freedom than non-structure. And this goes back to an even bigger theme that I've been kind of living through in my life, which is letting go of the concept of anything being right or wrong, or good or bad. That everything has the potential to be, I guess, if there's got to be any sort of duality, healthy and enlightening, or unhealthy and depressing. Um, it just depends on me, basically, on my frame of reference and how I embrace that, um, and how I accept it. So those are the things that have been missing: bravery, commitment, authenticity, creativity, foresight, acceptance of power and the potential, or the power and potential of structured ideas and institutions. And then they invite you to invent a new possibility. And basically, inventing a new possibility is just restating what's been missing in the form of a potential. And so, structure doesn't have to be static, it can flow as I flow. And it's okay to use structure. I can still use the tools of society without falling into the ego games. My good friend Bruce said to me right before I left Canada, he said, maybe the monastic lifestyle isn't for you this lifetime, but that doesn't mean you have to reject the tools that they offer. You've been throwing out the baby with the bathwater. And yeah, I get that. Like, I've been rejecting everything and not making use of the potential of what's actually there in these predefined ideas and concepts and structures. And then the very last thing is just stating that possibility again, basically. So the possibility I'm inventing for myself and my life is the possibility of being comfortable living and being within a structured environment, not feeling trapped by authority. So that was kind of the first part of the little workshop that I went through last night. And the second part was delving into more detail about how they explore these and the, I guess, the point of view that they offer to reframe the story I've been telling myself, or the story that we've been telling ourselves, whoever decides to go to this. And the biggest takeaway from that was, for me anyways, the presenter Danny asked the questions, what is it that makes you who you are today? And my answer, most of our answers, was actually the past. Everything that we've gone through, everything that we've been taught, that we've taken on, that we've learned to believe, all of that is how, basically, is the basis of how I respond to what comes into my life today. And he said, okay, what if I offer a different point of view on that? So what if it's not actually your past? What if it's actually your future that makes you who you are today? And he gave some examples, and I'll just use his because they're right there. He said, so it's 3:00 on a Friday afternoon. There's umpteen emails in my inbox that I haven't responded to. I'm almost late to get out and go somewhere. He asked, how do you feel like I am right now? How do you feel like I was in that situation? Most people were like, well, stressed out, kind of like buggered. And he goes, no, I was pumped. I was out of there for 5 days. I was getting ready to go hop on a plane and go to Hawaii. I was excited. I was getting ready to leave. Then he goes, we get on Hawaii and we have this amazing vacation. I'm sitting on the beach. I've got my coconut drink with a little umbrella in it, and I'm sitting there with my family, and everyone's relaxing. He's like, how do you think I am now? And of course, the general response was, well, relaxed and cool and chill. And he's like, no, I'm freaking out. He's like, we're sitting on this beach. Our flight's in such amount of time. Like, I know that if we don't get back to the Airbnb, clean it up, I'm going to end up having to make an extra night in the Airbnb. We're going to miss our flight. And then if I don't get back into working time, I'm going to be so swamped by all those emails that I'll never catch up. I'm miserable. Responding to the future. And that was a beautiful thing to see for myself. I really appreciated that. And it was kind of the big thing that actually was like, okay, there's actually potential here for me. Like, there's things for me to learn in this. And I hadn't gotten the yes to actually committing to it yet at that point. Like, it was still like a kind of maybe, maybe not. But like, it was like, okay, there's stuff here. But intuitively, there wasn't a yes or no yet. It was just keep watching, just pay attention. And then he asked, how did he put it? Something to the effect of, so if you're constantly living into the future, where's your past? And my response was in the present. He goes, no, it's worse than that. It's in the future. And when he said it, it was a light bulb moment. It was like, oh yeah. Because I'm projecting everything that I learned in the past into how to respond to the future. So when you take all that away, what's left? Nothing. Nothing is left. And that, to me, was the most beautiful thing. Because from nothing, infinite possibilities arise. So, like, I can see this clearly, and it's already changed a lot of how I would have responded to the situation in the past. It was that subtle shift that gave me the courage to step up and say yes when I got the intuitive yes. Normally, even though intuitively I got a yes to that, I would have said no because I don't have the money. But I said yes. And now I cannot afford to procrastinate. I cannot afford to lay around and watch YouTube. I have put myself in a situation where I have to commit and make money, earn money. And because I did that, because I put myself in a situation where, holy shit, I've really turned the pressure up. All of a sudden, all these new possibilities of how to do this are coming into my head. Like, all these options are opening up that I never even thought of before. So I'm going to go start working on those and editing this video and getting it put out, because this is part of it too. I think this is me honoring my commitment to all of you to share my journey in this and to be open, even though right now I'm still kind of freaked out because I really should, well, not should be, but I really feel the pressure to actually start working on things that can actually earn money now instead of whenever YouTube decides to monetize my videos, if ever. So I'm going to go do that. And I know this has been a long one. If you stuck around for the full thing, thank you so much. I really hope that there was something in here that serves you, that offers you a new perspective on a story you've been telling yourself. And I wish you all the best. I love you guys. And I'll I'll see you next time. Aloha.